Betrayal is not a foreign concept in the world of One Piece. This is the path Marshall D. Teach, better known as Blackbeard, chose for himself when he betrayed Whitebeard for the sake of achieving his own selfish goals. However, what if Blackbeard had remained loyal to the Whitebeard pirates? Under Blackbeard's loyalty, the Whitebeard pirates flourished. The power of darkness bolstered their ranks, making them more formidable than ever before. The crew's reputation for unshakable bonds grew as they faced adversaries who underestimated their strength and unity. With Blackbeard firmly anchored in the family, the events that led to the Paramount War never occurred. In this timeline, Ace's pursuit of Blackbeard was unnecessary, as Blackbeard remained steadfastly loyal to Whitebeard. This singular change rippled through history, altering the course of countless lives. Ace's recklessness still burned brightly, but it was channeled toward battles that furthered their crew's legacy rather than personal vengeance. He grew into a stronger leader under Whitebeard's guidance, supported by his crew members, including Blackbeard. Across the Grand Line, the Straw Hat Pirates forged a reputation that was impossible to ignore. Their triumphs over formidable foes like Crocodile, Enel, and CP9 reverberated throughout the seas, capturing the attention of allies and enemies alike. Whitebeard, always attuned to the shifting tides of the era, found himself increasingly aware of the young crew's captain. Ace's constant, pride-filled stories about his younger brother's exploits only added to the intrigue. Blackbeard, ever observant, followed the Straw Hats' rise with measured curiosity. While their resolve was impressive, he couldn't help but question whether such raw ambition could survive the brutality of the Grand Line. Well, he did not have to ponder regarding the Straw Hats for long, as they would encounter each other soon enough. The air around Sabaody Archipelago was thick with tension, the kind that foreshadowed calamity. Marshall D. Teach had a knack for sensing such things. Chaos, after all, was his element, and Sabaody was brimming with it. He stood aboard the small ship he shared with Ace, watching the distant flashes of battle. The reports had said the Straw Hats were in trouble. That was why Ace had dragged him here in the first place. Family seemed to define everything Ace did. His little brother was on Sabaody, and Ace, ever the loyal sibling, wasn't about to sit idle while Marines swarmed the place. Blackbeard had no objection to the detour. If anything, he was curious. He'd heard of the Straw Hats captain, Monkey D. Luffy, the audacious rookie who had declared war on the world government at Enies Lobby and survived. Luffy's actions had stirred the seas, much like Roger's crew had in the past. But Blackbeard was pragmatic. Boldness didn't always mean survival, and he wasn't one to judge before seeing for himself. The ship closed in, and the scene before them unfolded in stark clarity. Kizaru's light pierced the chaos, scattering debris and pirates alike. The pacifistas were moving with relentless precision. The Straw Hats fought valiantly, but they were outmatched, their resolve cracking under the weight of overwhelming force. Blackbeard observed silently, while Ace leaped into action first, of course. Flames burst forth as he landed on the battlefield, a whirlwind of heat and fury that cut a path through the pacifistas. Blackbeard followed at a slower pace, calculating his moves. The Yami Yami no Mi hummed with energy as he stepped onto the battlefield, the black tendrils of darkness swirling around him. Luffy caught Blackbeard's eye immediately. He wasn't hard to spot, with that ridiculous straw hat and an unyielding defiance that reminded Blackbeard of someone else. This was Ace's brother, the one who was always shouting about becoming Pirate King. He was reckless, just like Ace, but there was something more in him. Blackbeard's focus shifted as Kizaru materialized, his light-based attacks carving through the chaos like blades. The Admiral's movements were precise and devastating, his speed unmatched. But light had one enemy, and it was darkness. Blackbeard stepped forward, raising a hand as the Yami Yami no Mi surged to life. The Admiral's next attack vanished into the abyss, swallowed whole by Blackbeard's powers. The battlefield shifted as Blackbeard nullified Kizaru's abilities, creating an opening for Ace to launch a devastating counterattack. Ace's fire clashed with Kizaru's light, while Blackbeard controlled the flow of the battle with calculated precision. The darkness was a perfect weapon against the Admiral's relentless speed. Though Kizaru was powerful, the combined efforts of the Whitebeard pirates and the Straw Hats forced him to retreat temporarily, his forces regrouping to avoid further losses. From Blackbeard's vantage point, the Straw Hats were an unusual crew. They lacked the polish of seasoned pirates, yet their camaraderie and tenacity were undeniable. Ace was relentless, his flames cutting down anything that threatened Luffy. Blackbeard had seen Ace's protective streak before, but this was different. Ace wasn't just fighting to win, he was fighting for his brother, for the bond they shared. The battle ended with the Straw Hats' escape, thanks in no small part to Ace and Blackbeard's intervention. The Marines retreated, their forces weakened by the unexpected assault. The Whitebeard pirates, their point made, returned to their ship, leaving the battered island behind. In the years that followed, the Whitebeard pirates grew stronger, their legacy unshaken by the tragedies of the original timeline. Blackbeard, while still harboring ambitions toward his original goal, found a sense of fulfillment in the loyalty and strength of his family. The world continued to evolve, shaped by the actions of pirates, Marines, and revolutionaries. Yet one truth remained constant. The Whitebeard pirates stood as a beacon of strength and unity, led by a man whose ideals inspired not only his crew, but the next generation of pirates. Blackbeard's loyalty to Whitebeard did not erase his curiosity about the world's hidden truths. He became deeply interested in the mysteries of the Void Century and the significance of the poneglyphs. As the crew ventured deeper into the New World, they encountered islands that hinted at ancient secrets and ruins that spoke of a time when the world was united under a single kingdom. Whitebeard himself seemed to share some of this knowledge, though he rarely spoke of it. Blackbeard, ever perceptive, noticed the way Whitebeard's expression darkened when the topic of the Void Century arose. It was clear that Whitebeard, like Roger before him, understood more about the world than he let on. The Whitebeard pirates and the Straw Hat pirates met again under far more deliberate circumstances on an island shrouded in mist and whispers of history. Rumors of a poneglyph containing vital clues to Laugh-Tale's location had drawn many to the mysterious island, including rival pirate crews, marine forces, and the two fated groups. Blackbeard had insisted on leading the Whitebeard pirates' vanguard. The allure of a poneglyph was irresistible to him. For years, Blackbeard had been quietly piecing together fragments of the Void Century, driven by a curiosity that surpassed even his hunger for power. When they arrived, chaos already gripped the island. A powerful marine contingent, led by Vice Admiral Mamanga, was engaged in a pitched battle with rival pirate crews. The Straw Hats had immediately thrown themselves into the fray as soon as they arrived. Whitebeard, who was observing the situation from the Moby Dick, made the decision to intervene. While some of the crew questioned the wisdom of stepping into such a volatile conflict, the knowledge that Ace's brother was among the fighters sealed their course. Meanwhile, Blackbeard saw an opportunity, not only to claim the poneglyph, but also to test the mettle of the Straw Hats against the reality of the New World. The battle culminated in a confrontation at the island's ancient temple, where the poneglyph lay guarded by a formidable marine detachment. The combined efforts of the Straw Hats and the Whitebeard pirates broke through the defenses, and the two crews stood together before the ancient stone. Blackbeard carefully studied the inscriptions. While Luffy's crew focused on securing the poneglyph's etchings for Robin's research, Blackbeard made mental notes of the symbols and patterns, piecing together their significance. As the two crews went their separate ways, the world began to shift toward a new era. The Revolutionary Army had launched a series of coordinated strikes against the world government, weakening its grip on key territories. The Yonko, sensing the winds of change, had also begun to make their moves. Kaido intensified his efforts to establish dominance over the New World, while Big Mom expanded her influence with an iron fist. The seas of the New World grew restless, their currents twisted by the rising ambitions of the Yonko and the reverberations of rebellion. The Revolutionary Army's strikes against the world government were bold and strategic, dismantling key operations and exposing the cracks within the system. Monkey D. Dragon's forces gained ground with every victory, rallying oppressed nations under the banner of freedom. The Whitebeard pirates, though not allied with the revolutionaries, found themselves drawn into the chaos. Whitebeard's territories became sanctuaries for those fleeing the Marines, and islands under his protection flourished as symbols of hope. Blackbeard, now a prominent figure within the crew, took an active role in maintaining the security of these islands. His mastery of the Yami Yami no Mi proved invaluable. The fruit's ability to nullify devil fruit powers allowed him to protect vulnerable communities from rogue pirate crews and world government forces alike. Blackbeard's presence became a deterrent, a dark shadow that loomed over those who threatened the peace Whitebeard had worked to establish. The tension in the New World reached its peak as Kaido's forces began an all-out campaign to dominate the seas. Blackbeard had always been a man of calculation. While others viewed Kaido as a force of nature, he saw the Beast Pirate Captain as another piece of the grand game that defined the seas. Kaido's aggression, particularly his campaigns to expand his territory, threatened to disrupt the balance the Whitebeard pirates had maintained under their captain's watchful eye. The Whitebeard pirates found themselves drawn into the conflict when Kaido targeted one of their islands, a lush and prosperous haven known as Havenfall. The Yami Yami no Mi proved invaluable in the ensuing battle. Blackbeard's ability to nullify devil fruit powers gave the Whitebeard pirates an edge against Kaido's commanders, many of whom relied on Zoan transformations to dominate their enemies. The fight was brutal, with Blackbeard's darkness consuming Kaido's subordinates and Marco's regenerative powers countering their relentless assaults. The battle took a turn when Kaido joined the fight. His incredible strength and mastery of Conqueror's Haki sent shockwaves across the island, destroying entire sections. Blackbeard, strong as he was, struggled to hold his ground against Kaido's raw power. The Yami Yami no Mi could cancel out abilities, but it couldn't stop brute force. Then Whitebeard arrived and the fight balanced out. The clash between the two Yonko was nothing short of catastrophic. Blackbeard stood back, stunned, as Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi unleashed massive quakes that matched the destructive power of Kaido's dragon form. The ground shook under their blows, a display of just how strong both men truly were. The defense of Havenfall ended with Kaido's retreat, but the cost was high. The island lay in ruins, its people displaced by the devastation. Blackbeard, though battered, emerged from the battle with a deeper understanding of the challenges ahead. Kaido was not invincible, but defeating him would require more than strength. It would demand strategy, unity, and an understanding of the forces that shape the seas. For Blackbeard, the encounter with Kaido was more than a battle. It was a clear lesson in how fragile power could be and why being prepared was so important. Blackbeard went back to the Moby Dick more determined than ever to find the truths that could give the Whitebeard pirates an advantage in the battles ahead. While others focused on rebuilding, Blackbeard delved into his research, piecing together clues from ancient texts and poneglyphs. He saw Kaido not just as a threat, but as a symbol of the chaos that defined the New World. This was a chaos that Blackbeard intended to master, no matter the cost. After the conflict with Kaido at Havenfall, Marshal D. Teach became more fixated on what he saw saw as the key to Whitebeard's enduring strength, preparation born from knowledge. The events with Kaido had proven to Blackbeard that even overwhelming power, like Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi, was not enough to maintain the balance of the seas indefinitely. The new world was in flux, and only those who truly understood its currents could navigate them. Blackbeard began quietly lobbying Whitebeard for permission to lead expeditions to lesser-known islands, framing them as reconnaissance missions. Whitebeard, ever trusting of his crew, agreed. With a small contingent of trusted subordinates, Blackbeard began scouring the seas for ruins, ancient texts, and whispers of hidden truths. One of these expeditions led Blackbeard to a forgotten island shrouded in thick mist. People called it a cursed place, left empty after some ancient disaster. The cliffs were sharp and dark, as if they had been burned by a fire that never went out. Blackbeard had a feeling there was something more to the island than it seemed. On the island, Blackbeard and his team uncovered ruins older than anything he had encountered before. Deep within a cavern, they discovered murals etched into the stone, depicting a grand kingdom that had once thrived during the Void Century. The carvings showed figures wielding strange weapons and technology, alongside symbols Blackbeard had seen in fragments of poneglyphs. Blackbeard studied the murals with an intensity that unnerved even his hardened subordinates. The story they told was fragmented but unmistakable. A kingdom that had defied the world, its legacy erased by a force determined to bury the truth. He lingered on the island longer than expected, transcribing as much of the imagery as he could. When a sudden storm forced them to leave, Blackbeard carried the weight of the ruined secrets with him, a new fire burning in his eyes. While Blackbeard pursued his private quest for understanding, the Whitebeard pirates faced the ever-present threats of the New World. Kaido's ambitions continued unabated, and Big Mom's influence spread like a creeping shadow. Blackbeard often found himself thrust back into the role of defender, using his Yami Yami no Mi to counter the powers of rival pirates. During one battle, the crew encountered remnants of the Rocks Pirates, Kaido's old comrades. These ruthless marauders sought to reclaim their former glory by challenging Whitebeard's dominance. Blackbeard relished the fight, using his abilities to crush their devil fruit users and eliminate their foothold in the new world. Yet even amidst these battles, Blackbeard's thoughts were never far from the revelations of the ruins. He began to suspect that the Yonko, the Marines, and even the world government were all playing their roles in a grander scheme, a game that had begun long before any of them had set sail. As the years went on, Blackbeard's role within the Whitebeard pirates evolved. He had once been a shadow among giants, biding his time and keeping his ambitions hidden. Now, he was a prominent figure, a strategist and tactician whose insights had become invaluable to the crew's survival. Despite his growing importance, Blackbeard's loyalty to Whitebeard remained unwavering. He saw the old man not just as a captain, but as a symbol of stability in a world teetering on the brink of chaos. Blackbeard respected Whitebeard's wisdom, even as he quietly worked to build a foundation for his own ambitions. The crew began to notice Blackbeard's shifts in behavior. While others celebrated victories with reckless abandon, Blackbeard often remained behind, poring over maps and notes. He spoke less of glory and more of preparation, cautioning his comrades against underestimating the forces rising around them. The storm of Kaido's aggression reached its zenith when he set his sights on a series of islands near Wano, territories Whitebeard had long protected. Kaido's forces launched a brutal campaign, leaving ruin in their wake as they pressed closer to Whitebeard's domain. Blackbeard saw this as a critical moment. He warned Whitebeard that Kaido's actions were more than simple territorial expansion. They were a declaration of war. For Blackbeard, the battle against Kaido was not just a test of strength, but a chance to assert the Whitebeard pirates' role as the dominant force in the new world. The crew mobilized, their divisions converging on the contested islands to confront the beast pirates. Blackbeard's division, bolstered by his growing reputation, took on some of Kaido's most fearsome commanders. The battles were fierce, with Blackbeard's Yami Yami no Mi proving decisive in nullifying the zone abilities that made Kaido's army so dangerous. The final confrontation occurred when Whitebeard himself faced Kaido on the shores of a devastated island. Blackbeard observed the clash with awe, the raw power of the Gura Gura no Mi colliding with Kaido's dragon form in a spectacle that shook the seas. Though Kaido was ultimately forced to retreat, the battle left its mark on all involved. Blackbeard saw firsthand the toll such conflicts took on Whitebeard, whose age and injuries were becoming harder to ignore. The Whitebeard pirates had emerged victorious, but the cost had been high. The scars left by Kaido's forces were not easily healed, and the crew was left to rebuild while bracing for the next challenge. Even as he defended the crew, Blackbeard continued to pursue his private goals. He studied ancient texts, piecing together fragments of the Void Century. Every battle, every encounter with Kaido's forces was another step in his journey to uncover the truths that could reshape the world. The conflict between Whitebeard and Kaido reached a breaking point when the beast pirate captain demanded a parley. Kaido, perhaps sensing that prolonged conflict would lead to mutual destruction, proposed a meeting to discuss terms. Blackbeard was among the select few allowed to accompany Whitebeard to the summit. Held on neutral ground, the meeting was a tense affair. Kaido arrived in his hybrid dragon form, his massive frame towering over the gathered Whitebeard commanders. Whitebeard, undaunted, stood firm, his Gura Gura no Mi crackling with restrained power. Blackbeard watched the proceedings with a mix of fascination and caution. Kaido's demands were simple, a division of territory that would prevent further conflict. In exchange, Kaido offered to halt his incursions into Whitebeard's domain. Whitebeard's response was equally straightforward. He refused to cede an inch of his territory, stating that his role was to protect, not to compromise. The meeting ended in a stalemate, with both Yonko refusing to back down. Kaido was a powerful enemy, but to Blackbeard, he was also a teacher. The lessons he learned from battling the Beast Pirates would shape his journey, preparing him for the challenges that lay ahead. The chaos brewing in Wano reached its breaking point when Kaido launched his most audacious move yet. Unwilling to risk further losses in his war with Whitebeard, Kaido set a trap, targeting Ace, the 2nd Division commander, and capturing him during an ambush. The Beast Pirate captain announced his intention to execute Ace in Wano, daring Whitebeard and his crew to come and save him. Blackbeard knew that Kaido's threat to Ace was more than a provocation. This was a calculated move to weaken the Whitebeard pirates by drawing them into a deadly confrontation. He knew that facing Kaido directly, even with the full strength of the Whitebeard pirates, was a costly gamble. Kaido's forces were relentless, and his alliance with Big Mom had tipped the scales in his favor. The Whitebeard pirates needed an edge, and Blackbeard had an idea where to find it. The Straw Hat pirates were already in Wano, apparently leading a rebellion against Kaido with the samurai of the Kozuki clan. While others in the Whitebeard pirates viewed Luffy as a rookie, Blackbeard recognized an opportunity. Blackbeard proposed an alliance with the Straw Hat pirates. He reasoned that their combined forces could match Kaido's strength, and Luffy's unpredictability might be the key to tipping the scales. While Whitebeard hesitated, concerned about the risks of trusting another crew, Blackbeard convinced him by emphasizing the necessity of saving Ace and securing their legacy. Blackbeard and Marco traveled to Wano under the guise of a smaller scouting party, avoiding detection by Kaido's forces. They sought out Luffy and his crew, who were already deeply entrenched in their plans to overthrow Kaido. The meeting between the two crews was tense. Luffy, as expected, was brimming with defiance, questioning why he should ally with a Yonko crew when his own was capable of defeating Kaido. Blackbeard took control of the negotiation. He recognized Luffy's strength and rising fame, but reminded him of the reality they faced. Kaido had Ace, and while Luffy's drive to save his brother was clear, Blackbeard stressed that Kaido's power was far too great to take lightly. It was not an easy alliance, but Luffy ultimately agreed. Saving Ace was a priority, and even he could see the benefits of combining their strength. They decided to launch their assault on Onigashima. The battle was chaotic, with Kaido's forces throwing everything they had to protect their leader. Blackbeard led a division against Kaido's commanders, his Yami Yami no Mi countering their Zoan transformations with devastating efficiency. Luffy and his crew focused on reaching Kaido himself, their unpredictable tactics breaking through layers of defenses. Marco provided crucial support, his regenerative abilities keeping the allied forces in the fight. The most intense moment came when Kaido used Ace's leverage, holding him above the battlefield and threatening to execute him in front of the gathered forces. Luffy's rage boiled over and he launched himself at Kaido, only to be intercepted by the Yonko's hybrid dragon form. Blackbeard saw the opening and coordinated with Marco to free Ace. Using his darkness to nullify the effects of Kaido's powerful flames, Blackbeard created a path for Marco to reach Ace and pull him to safety. The battle culminated in a titanic clash between Whitebeard and Kaido. The clash between the two Yonko was monumental, a battle of titans that shook the heavens. Whitebeard fought with every ounce of his strength, his blows creating shockwaves that rippled across the seas. Kaido was relentless. His conqueror's haki clashed with Whitebeard's in bursts of energy that illuminated the battlefield. Whitebeard fought with everything he had. The battle dragged on, each moment taking its toll on the old man's body. Despite his injuries, Whitebeard refused to yield. His final quake shattered Kaido's defenses and forced the Beast Pirate captain into retreat. He knew he had to give it his all if he wanted to protect his family. Blackbeard watched and tried to interfere, but there was little that he could do. He could feel his powerlessness as Whitebeard refused to give ground to Kaido. It was in this way that Whitebeard lost his life while protecting his precious family. He stood tall to the very end, a mountain of strength and resilience, his body battered but unbowed. The crew gathered around him, their cries of anguish echoing across the battlefield. Blackbeard knelt at Whitebeard's side, his hands trembling as he looked upon the man who had been more than a captain. He had been a father, a guide, and a symbol of everything Blackbeard had come to value. The devastation in Blackbeard's eyes was clear. The man who had taught him loyalty and strength was gone, and the weight of that loss crushed him. Blackbeard's gaze fell upon Whitebeard's lifeless body, the Gura Gura no Mi still radiating its immense power. At that moment, a thought took hold. If Kaido's strength had been enough to kill Whitebeard, then Blackbeard would need more than his own power to take him down. He needed the very strength that had defined Whitebeard's legacy. Blackbeard slowly approached Whitebeard's lifeless body and used his darkness to push the other crewmates at a distance. Without wasting any time, the darkness enveloped them both and shielded them from everyone's vision. He knew what had to be done. Ignoring the shocked cries of his comrades, Blackbeard used the abilities of the Yami Yami no Mi to draw the Gura Gura no Mi's essence into himself. The process was violent and agonizing, but when it was done, Blackbeard stood with the power of two devil fruits, the power of darkness and the power of quakes. Marco, the 1st Division commander, was furious. He accused Blackbeard of violating Whitebeard's memory by taking the Gura Gura no Mi, but Blackbeard refused to apologize. Whitebeard had died fighting Kaido to protect his family, and Blackbeard would not not let that sacrifice be in vain. Grief turned to rage, and that rage fueled Blackbeard's determination to end Kaido once and for all. Kaido, though injured, refused to back down. Blackbeard led the charge, his grief transforming into a ferocity unlike anything the battlefield had ever seen. The Beast Pirate's most powerful techniques were swallowed by Blackbeard's darkness, while his quakes shattered Kaido's defenses. The Straw Hats, fueled by their shared hatred of Kaido and their loyalty to Ace and Wano's people, joined Blackbeard in the fight. The final clash was brutal. Blackbeard's quakes and Luffy's fiery attacks combined to push Kaido to the edge. As the Yonko roared in defiance, Blackbeard unleashed one last devastating quake, breaking Kaido's body and ending his reign of terror. The battlefield grew silent as the Beast Pirate captain fell, his strength finally extinguished. With Kaido dead, the Whitebeard pirates split. Marco, leading those who wished to honor Whitebeard's ideals, returned to safeguarding the territories their captain had protected. Blackbeard, however, carried the weight of vengeance and ambition. He formed his own crew, determined to carve his name into history while honoring Whitebeard's legacy in his own way. Blackbeard left Wano with the power of 2 devil fruits and a new purpose. Whitebeard's sacrifice would never be forgotten, and Blackbeard vowed to ensure it meant something. The seas would remember the man who had risen from grief to destroy the strongest creature alive, carrying both the burden of loss and the mantle of power. Subscribe for more One Piece videos!